Good evening. I call to order this regular meeting of the Verona Township Council from Monday, the 23rd of February, 2026. Madam Clerk, would you please read the Open Public Meetings Act compliance statement?
The notice requirements of this Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township Council being held via Zoom during the state of emergency. The meeting time and date were included in the meeting notice along with the public internet link and telephone call-in information. Said notice and meeting agenda was posted in the municipal building and sent to the official newspapers of the township, the Verona Cedar Grove Times, and the Star Ledger at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and handouts can be viewed online at veronanj.org/council meetings, and a public comment period will be held in the order it's listed on the meeting agenda, and instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland? Here. Councilwoman McGrath?
Here.
Councilman Roman?
Here.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Present.
Mayor Tamboro?
Here.
Mayor, also present tonight is Township Manager Kevin O'Sullivan, Deputy Township Manager Michael Kraus, Township Attorney Brian Aloya, myself, Municipal Clerk Jennifer Kiernan.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would everybody please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oops, that's not it.
I pledge allegiance
To the
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for
which
which stands
One
nation
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
All right, thank you. All right, for the quick mayor's report tonight, first, the planning board had a special meeting to go through a lot of our affordable housing items and morals resolutions from some past actions. And the planning board has a regular meeting this Thursday as well. Congratulations to the fifth grade girls suburban basketball champions. I had the opportunity to go to the game. It was wonderful to see our young ladies in action, and they had a pretty decisive victory over Nutley. So well done. We'll be bringing them in next month to recognize their work. Last week or this weekend, I had the opportunity to be interviewed by a member of the Millburn Charter Commission about our system of government, and provided some insights and really shared my satisfaction with our system of government. So I hope that assists them in their process. And finally, I want to thank the Verona DPW, our police department, fire department, rescue squad, emergency management, buildings and grounds, and everybody else who jumped in. Obviously, it's going to take a little while to dig out of this storm for sure. But in the meantime, it was really just a great job done by everybody. I also want to thank all the residents who were out helping their neighbors. As I was walking my dog, I saw a lot of people out helping each other, and that's really the Verona spirit. So thank you to everybody who is doing that, and I look forward to a safe return to school on Wednesday. We have Mr. Coltre on. There he is. Jay, you can come off mute. You're promoted.
There we go, unmute. Hello, how are you? And hopefully we all survived the snow. I have two things. Number one, we have a job fair at Turtleback Zoo on March 7th from 12 to 3 p.m. at the Burson Building. We're always looking for young people to participate in the summertime. And this is for Deputy Mayor, the Deputy Mayor. We have the Cherry Blossom 10K on April 12th. I know you may think it's early, but April will be here before we know it. And Deputy Mayor, you're more than welcome to run in it.
you better start practicing now.
Well, that's it for me. I was through Verona this morning, bright and early, and the roads looked pretty good. And the county was out all night, and our roadways are doing a fine job right now. Apparently, the county executive was in walking around the reservoir at South Mountain Arena. The roadways were clear, so if Deputy Mayor wants to go out for a quick jog later on, he's more than welcome to. That's
We'll
it
remind
right
them
now,
of that.
Mayor.
Jay, the job fair, that's for 18-year-old and older, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just want to clarify because I know a lot of teenage folks are looking for work as well. All right, Mr. Coltrane, anybody else have any questions for our friend from the county? Okay. Hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Coltrane.
Thank you very much. Pleasure being here.
On to the Township Managers Report, Mr. O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Mayor. I will be brief as I have the Township Planner, the Affordable Housing Planner, and our CFO here tonight on presentations for both affordable housing and the budget. But just on a couple key items on my report, we are moving through a number of our construction projects. We unfortunately are delayed a little bit further because of the snow. We were anticipating startup at the Fairview Avenue well in the upcoming weeks. We are still expecting materials to be delivered. That said, I'm not sure if that's going to be delayed by this snowstorm or not, but we do have another progress meeting with the contractor later this week. From some of our road projects, we were looking to mobilize on Linden Avenue and start checking water services so the contractor could get into some of the concrete work on the road in the next 2 to 3 weeks. That schedule is probably delayed as a result of the snow, but as soon as we get a thaw, that project will begin as well. We did receive bids for Dodd Terrace, Afterglow Way, and Summit Road last week. We received 12 bids, very competitive within the budgeted amount. We will have an award recommendation for the next meeting. We also had some meetings with the county since our last council meeting. A couple of the highlights, the county did receive a grant for signal upgrades on Bloomfield Avenue. We are continuing discussions with the county to, based on the current scope as it was relayed to us, it does not currently include an additional signal at Verona Park, nor does it include, it also misses 2 other signals. So we are in communication with the county to see if there's any opportunity to either expand the scope or if there may be another project already in the works from them. We've also had some discussions with them about Boswell's ongoing assessment of the speed limits on the county roads. So they were very helpful and we're looking forward to collaborating with us on that discussion as Boswell advances their study. And then they also did have their pre-construction meeting for the Fairview Avenue and Personette Avenue signal. That was part of, I believe, an 11 signal project that they recently just put out to bid and awarded. They did say that out of the 11 signals, Verona is the first of those projects to be cycled through construction. So it'll start with some demolition. Again, as soon as the weather thaws, we'll probably start seeing some demolition and some subsurface work there in the March or April timeframe. Again, as we get a better idea of the schedule, we will circulate that to the public. And again, there's going to be moments of pause as they move through their other 11 cycles before they come back to continue with that work. But the county is going to be moving forward with that project as well. The big one is our Everett Field project. We did recently get some progress out on the site. The contractor had ground heating equipment to get some concrete pours in, and if you had driven past the site, but most of the snow is gone until today. So here we are, we're losing a little bit more time on that because of the snow, but we're continuing to try to push that project forward as quickly as possible. We continue to move forward with our Bloomfield Avenue Streetscape project. We have a kickoff meeting with the NJTPA in the next 2 weeks. We will be having that discussion with them to make sure we remain compliant with the $1.5 million grant we received from them. And then we are moving forward with our age-friendly audit that is currently on the website. We have close to 130 responses so far. We are continuing to push for 200 responses, but that project is moving along, and that will turn into an action plan, which will be presented to the council at a later date. And probably in early April, we'll kick off our Inclusive Healthy Communities efforts as well. That said, I'll pause for a moment if there's any questions from the council on any other items in my report.
Any questions for Mr. O'Sullivan? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. If I could then hand the meeting over to Mr. Haubin and San as well. We have our two planners here tonight. Mr. Haubin is here to present some of the affordable housing specific discussions. We have an ordinance that is specific to the affordable housing compliance that we need to achieve with the state. And then San will present afterwards to discuss some of the specific redevelopment plans, the compliance mechanisms of our housing plan. So they're both promoted. So I'll turn the meeting over just to Dan for starters.
Why do I feel like I'm muted? All right. Now can you hear me? Yay. Great. All right. Thanks, Kevin. And good evening, everybody. Hope everybody is surviving the snow. I think it's melting already, so that's good. I'll jump right in. So I'm here tonight to just talk to you briefly about the ordinance. I think it's item I-7 on your agenda. It is entitled Repealing Article XIX and XXI. I guess that's 19 and 21 of Chapter 150 of the Code of the Township in its entirety, and replacing with a new Article 19, Affordable Housing, and Article 21, Development Fees. So these two articles are the articles that are already exist in your code, and they regulate the creation, administration, rent prices, sale prices, occupancy requirements for affordable housing, as well as the requirements for the collection and spending of money out of the township's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. So the last version of this, I believe, was amended in around 2023 when we had done the third round housing plan. And since then, obviously, quite a bit has happened in the affordable housing realm. We had the new statute in 2024 that was adopted. And then in the last few months, the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, the DCA, adopted a new set of rules regulating affordable housing trust fund collection and spending, as well as some other things. And the NJHMFA, the Housing Mortgage Finance Agency, adopted a new or updates to rules from 2008 called the UHAC, Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, and those are regulate how some of the things that I just identified before, the selection of occupants and the pricing, the development and design of affordable housing units. And so what we are required to do by the state by March 15th in order to limit our exposure to builders remedy lawsuits or any further affordable housing litigation, we're required to amend your ordinances in those chapters to reflect these new rules from the state. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room, with the exception of some of the language about your mandatory township-wide affordable housing set-aside, which is just something you're required to adopt originally as part of your third round settlement agreement with Fair Share Housing Center, and now it's been slightly refined to now require a township-wide 20% set aside, whereas it used to be 15% for rental units and 20% for sale units. And for the public, set aside is when a portion of units in a development is limited for low and moderate income households. Another thing that you have some flexibility on is development fees collected on residential development, which I had maintained the language from the ordinance that we had adopted in 2023. And then there's little bits here and there throughout the ordinance that you have some flexibility on in terms of rounding up and down. But for the most part, is language that the state creates. We have to copy and codify locally. So if you have any questions about it, I'm here to help.
Questions, Mr. Hoban? Anybody, just feel free to put your virtual hand up if you have any questions.
I can also see you, so you can put your actual hand up.
Your actual hand up as well. Yeah, it's easier for me to see the virtual hands. They pop up quickly. All right, no questions on that item, Mr. Hoban.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Sullivan, would you like me to go ahead?
Yes, Sam, if you could present the items that are on the agenda that you're here to
Sure.
present on a number of the
Sure.
redevelopment projects.
Sure. Good evening, everyone, and I'll make it brief. So there are three ordinances we'll be introducing, and as Mr. O'Sullivan mentioned, and as of course Dan went into detail, they're all part of your fourth round affordable housing fair share plan. Number one, I'm going to start with 420 Bloomfield Avenue redevelopment plan. I think 2 weeks ago, you designated this area as an area in need of redevelopment. And one of our requirements as per the settlement agreement was to write a redevelopment plan. We are getting 10 affordable units out of this, which kind of satisfies a chunk of our RDP. And the plan has been prepared based on the concept plan that Mr. O'Sullivan and I have been negotiating with the developer. And we set a cap of a maximum of 65 units and 10 of which will be affordable. And I'm ready to take any questions if you would have regarding this.
Questions for Ms. Siobhan? San or Mr. O'Sullivan, if you wanted, I don't know if you can do this at this point, but did you want to educate the public on how many units the discussion started with and how we got
Certainly.
to where we are?
I'll be very happy to, because it's all memorized. The first ever iteration that we actually saw almost 2 years ago was 414, more than 2 years ago was 414 units. We shut that down. Then they came back with 96 units. Then we, worked, they came back with 80 or 85, Mr. O'Sullivan, isn't that right? And then finally they came back with 67 units. We negotiated further with them and brought it down to 65. So it's a reduction of more than 40 units. One of the things that we also talked to them was that this is the Richfield Regency. One of the things we did discuss and negotiate was the property to the rear that was supposed to be, which is currently used as a parking, that it would not get developed and would continue as a parking lot. So that's about it. And I see Councilwoman McGrath's hand raised.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this. Can you just also provide for the public, just in your own words, a little bit of what the site will look like, especially if they don't have the documents in front of them, how it's a mix of retail and residential?
I will be happy to do so. So I've been working with the Township of Verona for almost 5 years now. And one of the things that when we wrote the master plan was to revitalize the downtown area, to bring in a mix of commercial and retail. And this project pretty much is as per the master plan. It's ground floor commercial and 2 stories above that, which will be residential. Most importantly, we were very cognizant of the impact on the street. So The administrator, the township manager and myself worked very diligently to try to continue to maintain the character of Verona. So ground plus 2, but there's a natural slope that we pushed back and asked the developer to provide an offset. And I tried to put all of that in the plan, which the members of public can see. So this, the members of public are looking at it now, but this has been in making for 2 years now.
And can you also
Yes,
touch
Councilman Roman? Oh, sorry.
Apologize.
Councilman Roman, go ahead.
And if we can also touch on, I'll just offer a comment and then I'll ask a question.
Sure.
Just on the street facade, this was a giant point of emphasis in this, that we're going from basically a site that is not interactive with Bloomfield Avenue to one that really reflects the character of the architectural elements that we're trying to have in the downtown area, and that provides some very attractive retail space that we hope will fill up. Could you discuss parking a little bit? Because that's the other, all of these.
Correct. Yes. Yes. So regarding the parking, we basically, they are required to provide 124 off-street parking, and we reduced the number of units so that we could get off-street parking. And the final concept, or rather the last concept, they seem to satisfy both the commercial as well as the residential portion that they want depend on on-street parking or anything else. So that's been another achievement that Mr. O'Sullivan and I were able to do while negotiating with this particular developer.
Thank you.
Mr. O'Sullivan, I'm sorry.
Yes, Sam, could you just speak just very briefly on the bedroom unit count, just to kind of provide an explanation on the how the 65 units are divided on this project?
Certainly. I just bear with me for a second till I actually just pull up. But all I want to tell the group is that it's predominantly 1-bedroom units, and there are a few 2-bedroom. Now the affordable housing, I can quickly give you. So they're predominantly 1-bedroom units, and there are about 52 1-bedroom units. The 2-bedroom units are a total of 9, and 3 bedrooms are 3. And these bedrooms, the 2 and 3, are as mandatory as per the affordable housing UHAC requirements, and that's why the market rate units would be mostly 1-bedroom.
Thank you. Any other questions on 420 Bloomfield? Councilwoman Holland?
Not necessarily a question, but I just think that as we consider this moving forward, we have regularly had certain residents attending our meetings and expressing concerns over the traffic situation in that part of Bloomfield Avenue. So I do think that it's going to be really important to get that resident feedback and to continue to engage with the county as we move forward with a project like this. I don't dispute the fact that this may be a beneficial kind of redevelopment for Bloomfield Avenue, especially considering the existing use there. But I do think that it's going to increase engagement, if that might not be the correct word for it, but it's going to increase traffic around that area, which is already a challenged area. So I do think that we need to have that engagement with the county about Bloomfield Avenue.
Thank you. Okay, next item, Mr. O'Sullivan.
So the next item is 885 Bloomfield Avenue, or the Valenti tract, as we all know. So 885 Bloomfield Avenue was an intervener in our affordable housing plan. We negotiated again. Before I'm asked, I can completely, explain that what we're proposing first. As a part of our settlement agreement, they will be providing 28 townhomes, of which 6 units would be, we would get 6 affordable credits, which are basically 3 family housing and 1 3-bedroom unit, which will be affordable. So that also satisfies a chunk of our fair share plan. And I know everybody would be interested. So before I'm asked, I'd like to volunteer and say that in this particular case, also, they came with a 60-unit plan, and we negotiated down to from 60, they went to 38, and we further negotiated it to 28 units. So today, what you have is almost more than half of what they'd originally proposed. We also negotiated with them with the building height, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's one thing I do want to specify is on page 15 of the plan. So the township settled with all the interveners, and this particular A&R Skyline or Valenti tract, as we all know, we entered into a memorandum of understanding. And in that, they provided us with a concept plan, and my office calculated based on the concept plan, and this plan was what you saw was also submitted to them, and they asked us to make certain changes, one of which is the maximum improved lot coverage that we had I had put in the plan was originally 65%. They said that as per the MOU, it should be 70%. And then the second thing was that the minimum front yard setback was 6 foot, and I measured it based on the concept plan they provided. However, there are steps that encroach into that, and so they've asked us to clarify that so that we maintain a minimum setback of 1 foot. And this correspondence happened an hour before the meeting, but I would like to bring that to everyone's attention especially because it's a part of the settlement agreement. So this is it from my end. And Mr. O'Sullivan, would you like to add something beyond that?
No, San, I think you covered the history. And again, I guess just refer to the parking count as well, if you could just speak to that briefly.
Sure. So we also negotiated parking with them, and currently based on the RSIS standards, and they will be providing some EV. They seem to comply with the parking requirement, and we put in standards, parking standards in the plan, so that there is no opportunity for on-street parking on that road, especially. And we wanted to ensure that the residents, as well as any people coming into, guests or whomever, have adequate off-street parking. Now, one of the beauties of the RSI standards is for a group home or a special needs housing, typically a 3-bedroom would require 2.1 spaces. In this case, it's only 0.25. So even the parking requirement reduces substantially.
Councilman Roman?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify and go through the setback a little bit more.
Sure.
So you said it would be a 1 foot setback to the steps and a 6 foot setback to the building.
That's correct. Okay. Yes.
So essentially, you'll have the lot line at the street. A foot back from that, the staircase will start.
Correct.
6 feet from the lot line, it will be the building. So the stairs will be 5 feet deep overall. And then in between the staircases to the units, is that landscaped area, or what's going to be in those areas between, from left to right, from side to side? What are going to be in those 5 foot by however many foot wide the unit are spaces?
They're proposing some landscaping. I can share with you. I don't know, Mr. O'Sullivan, can I share? Am I able to share?
You should have sharing ability.
Okay.
Sorry, give me one.
Okay.
You should be good, Sam, to share.
Okay. All right. Okay, wonderful. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So this is a concept plan that was attached to the memorandum of understanding, and I'm going to blow it up so everybody can see. So what they're proposing is some sort of planting between the steps. So these are the steps, and they're proposing some sort of landscaping and planting. They're proposing landscaping throughout. And if you think it would make sense, I can include that in the redevelopment plan when I'm making the edits right now. So this is what they're proposing to do. So landscaping along the buildings along the sides, as well as along the frontage.
Okay. And obviously maintaining a dense landscape buffer to the single-family residences to the rear of the property. So that's shown on this plan, but if we're going to do anything, that should be documented as well.
Correct. They are proposing landscaping. We had spoken to them during our negotiations, and what they showed, like this portion doesn't show much of a setback, but there is no house. It's Fells Road right of way area. So that's something that I would like to point out. So these are the houses, and I think this is around 15 or 20 foot setback along those sides.
Okay.
And here it's Fells Road.
Right. Okay. I would just like to make sure that we obtain a commitment as to the locations and the density of the landscaping that's going to go both on the Bloomfield Avenue facing side as well as on the rear side of the parcel.
Sure.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Yes, thank you. Can you talk a little bit about traffic flow in and out of the property? I noticed in the plan it says specifically only Bloomfield Avenue. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure, I can. I think it's easier for me to share my screen again so everybody understands. So basically, the way this is, everybody knows it's a narrow lot with frontage along both Fells Road and Bloomfield. What they are proposing to do, which is reflected in the redevelopment plan, is the entry. So this is a borough of Verona, not borough, it should be township. I don't know why they write that. With Essex Fells, there is one driveway here, and there's another 20-foot driveway. So ingress and egress is through these two driveways.
Where cars will be able to both go in and out there?
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions at the planning board level about the safety and what kind of turns people can make.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that and again, let me remind everybody that this is a part of the settlement agreement, but we were able to negotiate, quite a bit with them. But yes, those details would be really finalized during the planning board.
And then one additional question. So the building height, I think a lot of residents are very familiar with the townhouses that are in Essex Fells. Do we know the height so we're allowing, and you said that you negotiated building height. How does that reflect on what we're used to seeing on the Essex Fell side? Is it similar? Is it actually
It's
taller?
similar. No, it is similar. And the other thing too, it's we specified 3 stories and 40 feet. The other thing that I really would like to point out too is when you look at building height, right? All the houses that are along Essex Fells are at a higher elevation, so they'll be looking down. So even if it's 40 feet, in and about its maximum 40 feet and 3 stories, we basically, the impact along Essex Fells would not be as much because it's at a lower level.
You mean the houses on Fells Road specifically?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Holland?
Thank you. If you could go back to sharing your screen with the actual design plan where you were showing the parking spaces. Yes, thanks. If you could go to the parking spaces where you were referencing the buffer and how it's near in proximity to Fells Road. I don't know if I could, maybe I'm too zoomed in or something on my screen. I don't see it. Oh, now I do. Okay. So I think that there's going to be some concerns. I appreciate that there's showing of I guess some buffer between the parking spaces and Fells Road, but I just want to again flag a comment that I think we're going to have residential concerns about kind of the proximity to Fells Road over here and the lack of a meaningful buffer, at least in this one portion over here. I do appreciate that there isn't necessarily a resident immediately behind it, but I do just want to flag that there may be some concerns there. I also just wanted to echo some of the concerns about the ingress and egress from the property because it is a pretty active intersection over there. At the community center, there's a light. Fells Road has kind of that interesting kind of island effect where you can go in different directions. And so you do sometimes have a lot of cars going in different ways. So I do just want to flag that I think traffic concerns and that buffer are going to be some significant concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. San, I just want to confirm you have here front yard setback is 6 foot.
Correct.
My concern is we have a rear yard setback of 20 foot, but there technically is no rear yard on this property. Am I correct?
I
Two
mean,
front yards.
there is. I mean, all the properties. If you look at the rear, this is the rear property line, so there is a rear yard.
Okay, but so we're calling that the rear yard. However, it fronts on a roadway.
No, actually it does not. Let me just. So it's a corner lot, as you know. So there is a frontage along Bloomfield, frontage along Fells, and then this is the rear yard. So if you look at this point, can you see my?
Yes.
Okay. So Fells Road is up till here. So there's a portion that's along Fells Road, and if you look at the rest of that, that's all. All this is the rear yard.
Got it. So there is a portion there that's basically front yard. And so my question is, with obviously the topography of this property, there's going to be some retaining walls in the rear. Do the setbacks pertain to those retaining walls also?
No, those setbacks are just overall setbacks, but if there are retaining walls, they'll have to engineer this in such a way that they are compliant with our zoning code. And when we were in negotiation with them, these were quite a few times we did raise these questions because we have rules about how the retaining walls are going to be, steep slopes, etc., etc. So those were questions that were asked, and a concept plan, unfortunately, is not as well engineered as perhaps a site plan. But I am at this point, Deputy Mayor, if you'd like to make some recommendations, I can take a look at it.
I mean, I would agree with my colleagues that this area should be an area that has as much buffer as possible.
Yes.
And now you also brought up something about the improved lot coverage. In here, it's 65%. Are they asking to increase that?
They said that as part of, correct. So there was an email that was sent to the township, which was forwarded to myself by Mr. O'Sullivan and Mr. Krause. And one of the things that they said was, as per the memorandum of understanding, that the maximum impervious surface coverage was supposed to be 70, as well as, the setback along Bloomfield had to be 1 foot. So what I responded back is that 65% that I calculated, they did not provide us with any calculations. What we did at H2M when we were writing the redevelopment plan is we guesstimated what the maximum impervious surface coverage is, and it was 65%. And they've come back saying that it should be 70, and that the front yard setback had to be 1 foot, which if I go back, and I think I can just go back to this, when I reviewed this, the 6 foot front yard was based on this, which is the building line.
Yes.
And the stoop or the steps go a few feet into the property line. So what I suggested then, that we revise this to have bear with me for a second, to have a front yard setback of
6 foot.
6 foot, and then I put in an asterisk saying steps can encroach into the 6 foot setback provided they maintain a minimum setback of 1 foot from the property line. And then the building coverage, I increased it to 70%.
Okay, I would push back a little bit on the 70%. This is going from basically a wooded lot to a developed piece of property. And I mean, they are interveners and we had to negotiate with them. However, I think we're giving them a little too much with 70%, considering the current zoning on the property is, I believe it's 55%.
It is 55%, that's correct.
Yeah, in the A3 zone. So I really think we should push back and keep it at 65. I was going to suggest keep it as what it's zoned currently, but it's definitely not going to work with them. But I don't think they should be any more than the 65% that they had. And that's just my opinion on that. One last thing, actually two things. In the agreement on page 21, you talk about stormwater management. If you can hit 21, it'd be easier, for everybody to see.
Yeah. Just bear with me.
Yep.
Yes.
And there's one simple line there. It says all developments in the redevelopment area shall also comply with all pertinent provisions of the zoning code.
So what would you like me to write?
I just want to make sure I maybe it should be more specific to the Verona's, yes, be more specific as to Verona's, obviously NJDEP and Verona's stormwater management regulations. I think that would be just so it's clear for all parties involved.
That's fine.
And then lastly, just one quick one. As far as the driveways go that others have brought up, I did notice between buildings 1 and 2, if you can get out, sorry.
No, don't apologize.
Uh,
Yes,
is it buildings? Can you back out a little bit? Go to the left.
yes, I am.
The south side. There we go.
Just bear with me for a second. Yeah,
Yep.
it just, yeah. Can you see my screen?
I can, yes.
Okay.
So if you look between buildings 1 and 2, my only concern is if you make that a little or scroll down a little bit, you'll see across the street on the east, west, north side is the Essex County driveway for their. So obviously the County of Essex is going to be looking at this. They may want to have the driveway between buildings 1 and 2 instead of offsetting these 3 driveways. So I mean, maybe just something to, that the county may bring up.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
Okay.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. So I just for a point of clarification, what was printed out in our packet is not the final plan. I see that, you had a different chart on the setbacks and, or on the 65 and the 6570 debate, and you're making additional changes now. So this is what we're introducing, is what is on your computer?
So I made these changes so that you can understand what they are requesting. And what I gave you was the intent was that for that to be introduced. But when we got this correspondence saying that this was a part of memorandum of understanding and it was a part of our settlement, is why I changed this. So I believe this is the way we introduce it, right, Mr. O'Sullivan? That's how we should be introducing it, correct?
I think it needs to be introduced in an amended form as San is presenting it tonight to reflect the request. And I do see
Yes.
Mr. Plachek has joined us as well.
I have my camera off just because I'm sick and nobody wants to see me. But yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you for that clarification. I want to go back to the trees and the landscaping. So in this master plan, does this development have to follow our tree ordinance?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, any thing that's not specifically addressed, just like everybody else, they're still subject to anything else that's out there. So if there's something that they think they need that they haven't come to us, say, and then we do this, and then down the road they say, well, what about? Well, you should have brought it up. Everybody's subject to everything unless we, this is opposite to it or provides differently.
Okay. Perfect for that clarification. Thank you. And then finally on the landscaping, I know in our other project, we negotiated very mature trees to be planted. I see that the landscaping under 3.14 is only 3 points. Is that to follow up on Councilman Roman's questions? Is that an opportunity to make some improvements there, or is the landscaping still going to be, since they have to follow the tree ordinance, we still have an opportunity to make it more robust?
Yes, they have to follow the tree ordinance, so that's their opportunity to make it more robust. Correct. Our opportunity to get them to make it more robust.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And I believe we have just the zoning code.
Correct. Yes. So last but not the least, the TCMU zone so we adopted the TCMU zone at the time of our third round, so sometime in 2018, 2019. During our settlement discussions, the TCMU zone addresses our unmet need, a percentage of that. And one of the recommendations by either Fair Share or the special adjudicator was that we strike out the language, which was 15% for rental and 20% for sale. So strike out the 15 and just have 20% affordable for both rental as well as for sale. So our ordinance got amended accordingly, and that's what we are introducing tonight.
Okay. All right. At this point, we have basically discussed ordinances I-4, 5, 6, and 7. In order to not keep our experts on, does anybody have an objection to moving these for introduction at the present?
Objection.
Okay. All right, I'll hear a motion to, or I'll make it more formal. Next item on the agenda is ordinance I-4 on introduction. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
I-4, adopting the redevelopment plan for 420 Bloomfield Avenue, redevelopment area, block 701, lot 3.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move the ordinance, please?
So moved.
Motion is made by the Deputy Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
The second is made by Councilwoman McGrath. Is there any further council discussion on this item? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo.
Yes.
I-4 will be numbered ordinance 2026-05. It will be referred to the planning board for consistency review.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is ordinance I-5 for introduction. Would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
I-5, adopting the redevelopment plan for 885 Bloomfield Avenue, redevelopment area block 2205, lot 6.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move this ordinance, please?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
Is this with the changes?
Yes, this would be. Yeah, we'll discuss that in the discussion.
Okay.
Updated with the changes, because right now what we're moving is what's in the packet, so then we have to update that with the changes in discussion, and we'll go on. So
So
do we have
moved.
a second?
I'll second it. I'll second it.
Thank you. All right, for council discussion, San, can you just outline the changes you have made, and then we'll make
Sure.
a motion
So the
amend this with that purpose.
just bear with me for a second so I can just pull up what I wrote so there's no error. So the changes we made is we changed the maximum improved lot coverage from 65% to 70% as per the MOU, and the front yard setback, which remains at 6 foot with the understanding that steps can encroach into that 6 foot setback, provided they maintain a minimum setback of 1 foot from the property line.
All right. Would somebody move those amendments?
Wait, sorry, Mayor, point of order.
Yep.
She also made changes to she's just going to strengthen the stormwater management.
Oh,
language
yes,
as
thank
well.
you. Yes, yes. Sorry about
Thank you.
that. Yes, thank you.
Me as
Thank you,
well.
Councilman.
Page
Regarding-
21.
21. Councilman Roman?
Discussions regarding density and placement of landscape buffers and landscaped areas. Does that go in at this time, or is that for future?
I can look into it. I can look into it and just see if I have any language that I can augment it. So basically based on the discussion this evening.
Okay.
So it's going to be de minimis, whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can put that in before second reading if we have to, because we don't have a specific item. We need some specific language before we can amend it, and we can't amend on a concept. So we have to amend on a specific set of language, right?
All right. That's fine.
Yes, would somebody move those to amend the redevelopment plan ordinance with those three items?
I'll make that motion.
Motion's made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second? Well, seconded with that. Okay. All right. Any discussion on the amendments? Okay. Hearing none, we can just do a voice vote on the amendments. All those in favor, voice and hands, or just do hand? And okay. All right. The motion carries. And Madam Clerk, would you call the roll on the amended ordinance, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Abstain.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
I-5 will be, with amendments, will be numbered 2026-06. It passes 4-0 with an abstention. It will be referred to the planning board for consistency review. And San, you'll get me a clean copy of that?
Yes, I will, of everything.
Thank you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is ordinance I-6 on introduction. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Amending and supplementing the standards of the Town Center Mixed Use Zone District in Chapter 150 zoning of the Code of the Township of Verona.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move the ordinance?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilwoman McGrath. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second is made by Councilman Roman. Take discussion on this item. There's only one that's okay. I'll reserve that for the time being. Any other council discussion? All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
I-6 will be numbered 2026-07. It passes 5-0 on introduction and will be referred to the planning board for consistency review.
And the next item on the agenda would be ordinance I-7 for introduction. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Repealing Article 19 and 21 of Chapter 150 of the Code of the Township in its entirety, replacing with a new Article 19, Affordable Housing, and an Article 21, Development Fees.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody move this ordinance, please?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilwoman McGrath. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
The second is by Councilman Roman. Any council discussion on this ordinance, which we're being forced by the state to adopt? Any discussion? No. I would like to thank the state of New Jersey for forcing us to adopt an ordinance. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Sorry, hold on. Deputy Mayor?
I'm very sorry. This is what I was looking for. In several areas of this, they're kind of repeating stuff on page 13 and on page 12. Like on page 12, it says each bedroom and each restricted unit must have at least one window. That's a requirement in state code. Like, we're not putting in there that they should have 5 outlets in a room. That's state code also. It's in the design standard up top. It's in, so if someone can go through before we finalize this and just clean it up, because it's so repetitive. It's in on page 13 also. Each bedroom, same thing, must have 1 window, but restricted units must include adequate air conditioning and heating. Further on, they just talk about how each unit should have the same utilities and appliances. So I think it's just each separate area has the same exact thing, and we can clean it up a little bit just to make it a little better. And that's all. Sorry to disrupt.
Mr. Halbin, did you have a thought on that?
No, I think those are de minimis changes that that could be made for the final the final version. I'll go through to see if there's anything that's duplicative without risking the wrath of some other organizations. Yeah, I think that's okay.
Okay. All right, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
I-7 will be numbered 2026-08 and will be referred to the planning board.
Thank you. All right. Thank you to our experts for being on at this point. You get to enjoy the rest of your evening, unless you would like to stay and listen to our budget presentations.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. O'Sullivan, the next item is our library strategic plan.
Yes, Mayor. I know the council had received a copy of the annual report from the library. And I believe there are members from the library that are present on the call this evening. I don't know if the clerk could potentially move them into panelists if they wanted to present any specific items or hit any of the highlights for the council for this meeting.
Township Manager O'Sullivan, yeah. Claudine, the library director, is going to speak. I'm trying to find her.
She's at the end. It's under
Verona Library. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, can everybody
Okay, Claudine.
hear me? Hi.
Hi, Claudine. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. Okay. So I was just going to go over the library's 2026 budget and highlighting some of the things that you find in the annual report. And then if you had any questions about the strategic plan, I'll be happy to answer those as well. So good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to present the Verona Public Library's 2026 budget. The total library budget for 2026 is $1,237,807, an increase of 8.59% in the adopted 2025 budget. This proposal represents only the minimum level of funding required under New Jersey law to maintain library operations and services, and we are not requesting any funds above that statutory minimum. This budget adjustment is driven by predictable cost increases and operational necessities, including staffing costs and employee benefits. The salaries and wages line is increased to support annual salary adjustments. The addition of a part-time community outreach librarian position, as indicated in the library's strategic plan, and the expanded weekend staffing. Health insurance and related benefit costs continue to rise, representing the single largest driver of increased expenditure. And these changes are essential to sustain current service levels. The Verona Public Library continues to be a highly utilized community resource. The library's annual circulation has remained robust with over 120,000 items loaned in 2025, which is an overall 7% increase over 2024. And this reflects sustained and significant demand for our materials and services. Circulation of our Library of Things increased by 94%, and our Museum Pass circulation increased by 15% over 2024. Digital borrowing increased by 15% in 2025, and funding for digital collections and access to platforms such as Hoopla, Overdrive, and Canopy remain strong to meet resident expectations for e-resources. Last year, 721 new library cards were issued, demonstrating continued community engagement with the library. In 2025, we hosted 854 programs, an increase of 13%, and 14,911 people attended these programs, an increase of 16%. Almost 850 tutoring sessions happened in the library, and roughly 1,700 people reserved our meeting rooms and conference rooms for their own personal use. This year, I've added a marketing and PR line item to the budget to print and mail a newsletter to every address in Verona twice per year. Last year, we sent a mailer advertising our fall events and promoting our online services, and it was very well received. The mailer is a way to reach residents who are new to town, don't follow us on social media, or subscribe to our weekly email newsletter. And in our strategic plan, one of the things that we're really going to try to do moving forward is bring greater awareness to all of the resources that we have at the library. And we thought that this was a great way to reach people who are not actively engaged in using the library already. So in conclusion, we are proud of the services the library provides, and we remain committed to fiscal responsibility and service excellence. Thank you for your time and your continued support, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for our wonderful library director? Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation and hard work. And it's wonderful to see such a thriving cultural institution in our community. So I have two sets of questions. One is, I've been reading a lot about a lot of drama in the library world in terms of purchasing books, and now I read a second article about monopolies in the digital book space that libraries are facing. So I was wondering if you could address that, and then second, if you could expand on what a community service librarian would do and focus on. That would be also helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. So one of the largest book providers to libraries across the nation was Baker and Taylor. And we relied heavily. I want to say we purchased about 90% of all of our materials, physical materials, through Baker and Taylor. And they offered services like collection development resources, mark records for the catalog. And it was just everybody used them. And then unexpectedly, they shuttered. And so we did have a period of time at the end of 2025 where, we pre-order a lot of materials and we never got those materials. So you may see some items in the catalog being marked as on order, and it's one of those items that may have gotten lost in the shuffle. So we had that yanked out from under us. And so there are other vendors, Ingram, Brodart. They are no longer at this moment taking on new libraries as customers because they have been so overwhelmed with the response from other libraries. Because again, this is nationwide. So we had been purchasing through Amazon. And so that's where we are doing most of our purchasing now for books is through Amazon. And they do offer mark records. However, they're AI generated. And they're not as great as what we were getting through Baker and Taylor. So the workflow is a little bit different. We used to be able to buy all of our large print material through Baker and Taylor. Everything was centralized, and now we have to go through different vendors to, purchase different parts of our collection. I think things should be kind of, it was bumpy at the end of 2025, but things in terms of purchasing have, we've gotten a hang of making sure that we're purchasing the materials that we need to meet the demand. And the e-materials you had mentioned. So I think I had mentioned in the past the need to increase the digital materials line significantly because e-materials for libraries cost significantly more than they do the average consumer. So take, for example, the latest ebook, The Correspondent. Everybody wants The Correspondent right now. I've purchased 5 copies of physical books, and then we can only really afford to add 1 copy because what costs, $20 in paperback or hardcover costs the library $65 for an e-book. Audiobooks cost even more. They can cost up to $100, $110. And then on top of that, the publishers have put restrictions on these materials. So either you can only have them for 12 months, you could lease them for 24 months, or 26 checkouts. So in addition to these e-materials costing libraries significantly more money, they also put restrictions on how long we have to offer them to the public before we then have to purchase an additional copy. I know that NJLA is really advocating, and I know there's something going on where they're discussing possibly not making it possible for libraries in New Jersey to purchase e-materials from these publishers unless they change or do away with some of these unfair practices. It's kind of tricky. Don't know if just one state pulling out of purchasing from Overdrive, let's say, would make the publishers change their policies, but I know that Massachusetts, I believe it's Massachusetts or Connecticut, has passed a law, but there is it only goes into effect if another state passes a similar law. So there is this attempt to try to kind of force the publishers to have more fair practices in terms of purchasing or selling to libraries, public libraries. So that's something that is ongoing right now.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Claudine? No? Thank you, Claudine.
Okay. Oh, and just to touch on Councilwoman McGrath's other question about the community outreach librarian. And so that position would be somebody who we would bring on to go to all of the township events, make sure that they come up with other creative ways to make sure that the library is in information about the library is in all these different avenues rather than our traditional avenues. And yeah, focusing on promoting our events and our resources.
Right.
And I think the important point for the public is you're fitting this in the mandatory state minimum.
Correct.
Which is really the great part of that.
Correct.
All right. Well, thank you, Claudine. It's good to see you. And we'll move on to Ms. Mascara and the rest of our budget conversations for this evening.
Good evening. I apologize, my camera does not work on the laptop, so you won't be able to see me, but it is good to see all of your faces. We'll jump into the budget presentation, and I will try to be fast but thorough for you all since you've already had a long night. Okay, 2026 Verona Municipal Budget, starting today. Next slide, please, Ms. Kiernan. As you can see, our collection rate has been pretty steady for the last few years, about 99%, not including 2021, where we were still dealing with the aftermath of COVID. Next slide. Our miscellaneous revenue for 2025 had good results overall. The screen will show you what the top percentage wise versus anticipated versus collected, which was interest on deposits, our licensing, community center rentals, parking meters, municipal court, Uniform Fire Safety Act, alcoholic beverages, and recreation fees. Next slide. Results of operations on our expenses. As you know, our garbage and recycling contract were bid in 2023 and they cover through 2028. Our medical expenses continue to rise, like Claudine had just mentioned. Our pension amounts also continue to increase, and our OPIU contract was settled in 2025. So currently there's no outstanding contracts for unions. This slide is showing you the comparison to what is proposed for 2026 and what was budgeted for 2025. On the bottom, in the expense appropriations, you will see that it's about $2.2 million in an increase from 2025. Over 300,000 is salary and wages. We've have statutory expenses, which is your pension, which is about $200,000 increase. Our debt service continues to remain similar, a slight increase of $50,000. The library, as we just discussed. Your reserve for uncollected taxes is remaining the same, and your other expenses also includes the $1.5 million grant that you received, which is most of the difference in your other expenses. Last year, we had almost $500,000 in grants, and this year we have almost, a little over $1.5 million in grants. So the increase there is $1 million in grants. Here is the difference in the municipal tax rate. As we know, 2026, we had a reevaluation, which went into effect. So the municipal tax rate decreases from 2025 to 2026. The average property valuation increased from a little over 435 to 704.4 this year. The average municipal property increase is about $230. This slide is showing you a tax history from 2018 through 2026. Our last reval was in 2019, so I thought it was important to show 2018 and 2019, the difference there, as well as all of the years in between, and then the difference between 2025 and 2026 as the reval in 26 has now hit. Material changes for 2026 are shown here. General insurance increased over 5%. Our medical benefits increased $320,000, which is over 14%. Police is only mentioned here, but regular PERS also went up about $80,000. Salary and wages, you will see, is about $300,000, a little over $300,000, and we increased our health waivers line from $75,000 to $85,000, which is a $10,000 increase because more employees are continuing to waive medical insurance. This slide shows the representation of the average annual tax bill for the municipality, as well as the monthly tax bill. Average tax bill is $3,544 annually. The monthly bill comes out to about $295. This is the breakdown of your municipal, your library, your county, and your public schools. It becomes basically your total for the taxes that are paid every year for each resident and the percentage that it's broken down. Our Open Space Trust Fund started in 2019. As you know, we've increased it in 2023 from 2 cents to 3 cents per 100 assessed valuation. We are estimating based on the new net valuation, the amount to be raised this year in taxation is a little over $1.15 million. And that average residential tax is $211.32. We will discuss, obviously, tonight some of the items in your budget binders. We will then continue on March 9th. We are looking to introduce our budget on March 23rd and have the public hearing and adoption on April 20th. Just a reminder, statutorily, we have to introduce by the end of March and we have to adopt by the end of April. Are there any, I know that was fast, but are there any questions overall on that presentation?
Jen, I suppose I have one. If you could go back to the tax levy increase.
Yes.
Slide. So I think you had it at one point.
Go back.
Okay. So in looking at this significant suggested or proposed levy, how does this reconcile with the state hard cap on tax levy?
Well, we are within caps.
We are.
Yes.
Okay. Did we have a waiver for health insurance?
They do allow waivers for health insurance. They allow waivers for part of the pension increase. They allow waivers for part of the debt that increased. Those are the three main items that they allow waivers for.
Okay. And could you just describe the process as you work with department heads and where you started as far as, did you ask every department head to maintain a zero increase budget? Did you ask for department heads to reduce their budgets? Like, how did we get here? If you could just provide some
Sure. So this process really starts in October of 2025 when they're given their budget sheets back to me. I start to input everything into the state document. In December, we get the pension number, which is obviously a huge factor. In beginning of January, we get the general insurance number and basically our health insurance numbers. And those factor into what's called the tax levy cap workbook. In using that number, that allows me to know what can be moved outside of caps, as we've discussed. After that process, I then went back to department heads, and anybody who had a large increase obviously I can't touch salaries because salaries are pretty set based on the contracts. But anybody who had a large operating increase request, it was factored in to see where we needed to be, and a percentage was taken off of most people's requests. If there was anything outlandish or a large request, it was modified in discussion with Mr. O'Sullivan and Mr. Kraus. And that's kind of how it was worked down to the numbers that we've come to, basically.
Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. And I'm sure that a copy of this is going to be emailed to the council post the meeting. I have mine going back to the beginning, and they're always interesting to look at. I actually wanted to go back to the total operating expenses line. So remind me, these numbers match up with what the similar version of this presentation year to year, right? It's not based on actual, but what was budgeted.
So these numbers are based on, well, 2018 through 2025 are based on actual numbers in this presentation.
Okay. So explain the negative in 2025 that we actually had a decrease. Can you just adjust that or explain that? Like
Sure.
what
So,
led to that
the
change?
difference really was grants. We
I see.
received more grants in 2025 that we did in 2024, which is why it looks a little funky, and the total operating expenses does not include grants, which is why it's looks like a decrease.
Okay, so then if we get grants
Mhm.
in 2026, I know we received a very big one
Yes,
right off the bat, but we're going to hopefully get more grants.
Mhm.
So then that total, obviously the operating expenses go down the more grants we get. And when we see this presentation in 2027, this 28.487168 number may be lower.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Roman?
What are our trends with regard to headcount, both full-time and regular part-time?
I will have to get you numbers. I think I did that last year for you all, so I will update it for 2026.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Any other more general questions before we go into the specific departments? Okay, seeing none, Ms. Mascara, what's first?
Okay, so if you open up your budget binder, we're going to go 1 through 10 and hit number 22. And you've already heard discussion on 26, but we can circle back to tab 26 if you would like. Big difference in this year's budget binder in previous years. On the left-hand side of your binder are all of the capital requests by year and by fund. General cap, water sewer cap, and pool cap. Behind each department, if they had a capital request, I put it inside their tab and just generalized it. So tab 1, 2, and 3 are similar to what you've just seen in the presentation. So I'm going to jump to tab 4, which is administration. And I'll give you a second to get there. Okay. Administration salaries has increased. As you know, there are salary ordinances in place. You have contracts that have been settled, so that is pretty set as far as that goes. On the bottom of that page, you have operating, which increased about $4,000, a little less than $4,000. As you know, number 14 is one of your drivers. Other lines have been manipulated down to include that increase as well, but 14 has been included in this year's budget. As you know, that was one of the items that was discussed last year, and an ordinance was adopted to have some sort of transfer between the current fund to the pool for fire and rescue.
Just for the public's edification, yeah, just wanted to clarify that number
Yes.
14 is the money that the township is transferring to the pool utility for that purpose. Jen, could you
Yes.
go into like line 11, which is public information, website hosting, maintenance? It looks like the budget number proposed of 21,500 is being carried over from 2025, but the actual expense that we had on that line was less than half that. So is there a
Sure.
reason
Let me pull up
we
the
are-
budget. Hold on one second, and let's see what's going on in that specific line. Okay, so I believe part of this is a 3-year project driven by the Public Information Officer for the social media and web archive. Part of it is web hosting, but I can clarify further with her to see if maybe that item can be reduced if that isn't going to change in 2026 or further.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to answer tonight. I don't
Sure.
want to budget too far away from actual because,
Right.
just because we've had those numbers in the past, as we're
Right.
looking to do this. I know obviously you want to build some fund balance, but at the same point, it's I think we need to budget as close to actual as possible. And
Understood.
potentially, we're gonna have to tighten I think a lot of this, just as I'm gonna make that comment now. So it's not a
Understood.
surprise in the future. Is there a
Okay.
possibility, Jen, that you could
Yeah.
share the Excel spreadsheet so that, on your screen so that, or Jen Kiernan could do that just so the public can see what we're looking at as we go line by line?
Let's see.
I can, just give me a second because it's going to be hard to follow. It's on the council docs webpage for the public, but just give me a second. I'll pull it up.
All right, Jen, you can keep going as
Okay.
the clerk does that, please. Thank you.
The next page is administration and economic development. That was 50,500 last year, and we are proposing that it remains the same at 50,500. The next
This is
page.
Sorry, just
Sorry.
throwing this in.
Go ahead.
Just another place where we might be able to, look at like line 3. My general comment is going to be anytime where just as we go forward, and I know that I bring this up every year, but I'll just put this forward. Is it any time where we have a pretty significant, this is a very significant difference between the actual expended in the prior year and the proposed. I'm going to want an explanation for why we're there. And I know that there's some, just sometimes just a simple explanation is helpful. It doesn't have to be super complicated, but to understand that. And, looking at like line 2, where we expended $1,500, but we're proposing $7,500, which is like 500% higher than past years, it would be helpful to know all of that, or, identify those as areas to tighten as well.
Sure. So I usually reach out to the Environmental Commission, Sustainable, and try to get their ideas on what they anticipate spending. Typically, Sustainable has told me 7,500. They've received quite a few grants the last few years, so they haven't been touching their operating expenses as much as the grants have been taking over and using those expenses. But I can clarify with them if they still, in line 2, still will need 7,500 for 2026.
Thank you. Yeah, and line 3, whatever the contracts and services
are. A lot of this this past year was updating our holiday decor on Bloomfield Avenue.
Yep. No, I mean,
Yes.
last year the number looks fine. It's this year that I'm more concerned.
Yes.
So Mayor,
Yeah,
if I
sorry,
could just
Kevin,
respond to that question, I think that particular line item that generally houses the installation and the takedown of the Christmas or the holiday decorations. The thought here was that there may be some additional money reserved for the America 250 celebration, and this would be an appropriate line item to try to pull additional contracts and services for that celebration. So that's for line item 3. Again, Jen had already answered line item 2 on that regarding the sustainable budget. I think that might be a place that we can look to reduce that number slightly to reflect actual expenses and the grants received.
Councilman Roman?
Yes, and one of the challenges structurally with the municipal budget is this is also where we build surplus for the following year. This is one of the things that has always driven me crazy about the New Jersey state budget formatting is that we aren't able to explicitly have a line for our surplus. So we always have had to ask this question is, okay, what are we actually going to spend on this versus what are we required to, what do we need to budget so that we do that? And, Ms. Mascara, if you want to correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a structural challenge in building these budgets.
It definitely is. We are using $4 million in surplus to offset budget costs. If our revenues don't come in that high or our surplus from not spending our expenses every year or our revenues don't come in as high as we anticipated, our surplus obviously decreases. We regenerated the $4 million that we spent last year in the 2025 budget. But obviously that is not guaranteed, and it is a little bit of a trying game to try to figure out whether you leave something in as higher, anticipating it be spent lower so that you do create surplus, or trying to anticipate revenues coming in lower to increase surplus that way. But it is a little bit of a mind game to decide early on what is going to happen for the whole year.
And for the general public's edification, this dollar amount is basically so that our bank balance never goes down to zero, so that we always have some, basic level of cash in the bank. And from an accounting perspective, we have to spend it or consume it down during the course of a current year while also regenerating it for the following year. And we aren't permitted really to have a line in the budget where we just sort of retain surplus. So unfortunately, we can't actually budget every other expense line item down to the wire and every revenue down to the wire. Otherwise, we end up with this problem where we aren't able to generate surplus that we actually need to have for cash flow management purposes. So like I said, that's a state requirement. It is something I don't like about how we're forced to build budgets, but if anyone wonders, that's very frequently why these lines look like they do. So, and red.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on, Ms. Mascara.
Okay, on your next page, you have your salaries. As you will see, this remains the same.
Where are we?
You're under exec, over to the left.
Thank you.
Okay.
I know, not what you wanted to hear, right? On the next page, you will see the administration's 3-year capitals. That is not going to be in the budget worksheet that Ms. Kiernan is presenting, because that was a separate worksheet. But I can, if you want, provide that separately, if you want that posted on the website, or
yeah, I mean, it would certainly be helpful. I just had a question on just the placement of the resurfacing of turf fields. I'm just wondering why it's in administration rather than in recreation I mean, it's all the same thing, but it's just the turf field replacement somehow ended up in administration versus.
It was more of administration's request.
Okay.
As you know, last year we had turnover in our director. So this was a previous request that's kind of stuck with administration, but I can obviously move it to recreation.
Just for organizational purposes.
Yes.
Yes. And Mr. Sullivan or Ms. Mascara, if you could hit on the $245,000 for municipal lot 2, that's the lot off of Grove Avenue. What is that, a resurfacing project?
Ms. Kiernan, it's not going to be in this document.
Okay.
So you know.
Just let me know if I'm wrong.
This is a separate, the capitals are a separate document. 245,000 was for the design concept for municipal parking lot 2 construction.
That would be for the design, and it should be also for the reconstruction of that parking lot. It's a relatively smaller parking lot, but Boswell prepared a cost estimate for us to review, redesign, relayout, and then to also then the construction estimate as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions on tab 4? Tab 5?
Tab 5.
Township clerk.
Yep, you have the clerk. On the top, salary and wages, again, statutorily and by ordinance. On the bottom, you will see their operating expense. The major difference here is the software request by Ms. Kiernan in this budget.
I'm sorry, could you tell us what specifically that software is?
Can I speak?
Go ahead, Ms. Kieran.
Okay. Well, first of all, GovPilot has acquired SDL. We're probably going to be making a bigger shift there. I have a meeting with them in the coming weeks. The additional software is for licensing tree contractors. Most of the licenses that are covered by the municipal clerk's office, which will incorporate online payment. So it will, especially block parties, just so the public and the residents have easier way of submitting licenses and permit requests. So it's an additional, it will be 10 modules overall, and that is combining it with as a package, we get a reduction per module. So I have 4 now, I'm getting 6 more modules.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? Deputy Mayor McAvoy. Jack, you're muted.
I'm just questioning line 5, the 35,000 for local elections.
Because I have to have something in case we have a special election unforeseen.
Got it. Thank you.
And we have to decide who Mr. Congeniality or Miss Congeniality is. Well, we have that money. Councilman McGrath.
Thank you. I actually wanted to talk about legal advertisements. I know there's been a lot of change in the law. What is your anticipation? I see that you're decreasing the line item. Could you just speak to that briefly?
Well, there's uncertainty as to whether or not we'll have to still publish online. I've only spent half of what we budgeted last year, but we do have an increase in fees for the Star Ledger at NJ.com if we have to continue with them. So their prices are the same whether they're posted online or in print, and their deadlines are the same as well.
I know the state's working on having a central state system for all of this that could potentially replace all the newspapers, but the media companies are not happy about that, right, Jen?
Yeah, and we'll still have to, what the state website would be us submitting our link to our legal publications page, so that anybody can just go to the state's page and see every municipality's link to their legal web pages. It's just there's supposed to be a couple representatives from the state next week at the this coming week at the education conference, so we can get some idea on where the state will be going on publication of legal ads, and for what. I believe like land use may still have to do it, the land use boards, but whether or not all legal publications need to be sent to the newspapers will be determined hopefully before March 1st when it goes into effect.
Well, that would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Moving to capital requests for the clerk. I'll just note that these requests are part of a multi-year project that we started already to digitize records, so that there'll be more available to the public, and we don't have to pay storage fees, and open requests will be less time and money intensive to do that as well.
Correct.
All right.
Tab
Tab
6.
6.
Yep.
This is
Assessor.
assessment of taxes.
Yes. You have your salary and wages. As you will see, there was some shift. We have a full-time employee and a part-time employee. So there was a shift in the full-time employee has taken another position, which is why you see a reduction in the salary, and why you also see that longevity is no longer available. On the bottom, slight increase of about $2,000 in their operating expenses.
Is the reason, Ms. Muscara, that the appraisal budget was so low in 2025 was because of the, we had to pass a separate funding mechanism to do the town-wide reassessment?
Correct, yes.
Any other questions on tax assessment? Okay, moving on to tab
Finance.
7, which
Kieran,
is
F and
finance.
R on that tab. Go to the left. Yes, correct. Thank you. Salary and wages again on the top. Our operating expenses increased on the bottom. We are implementing new software to help make the process, the onboarding process through payroll, a little bit smoother and cleaner, which this process includes the administration office. It includes payroll in my office. So having the onboarding system streamlined through PrimePoint, which is our payroll system currently, that is one of your drivers for your computer support increase. Postage is always an unknown. Postage seems to increase, I don't know, at least twice a year. So this postage line did not increase for 2026, but I can anticipate it probably the amount spent in 25 to increase in 26 as postage just seems to keep rising. But the main driver is your computer support, which is your PrimePoint, and this additional software to streamline the onboarding process of new employees.
To this point, Ms. Muscara, on the postage, I know that a lot of service providers that I use for my home give you the option of electronic billing, which saves them a lot of money on postage. And I'm wondering, we get a lot of mail from the township, whether it's a sewer bill or reassessment stuff. Is there a way, maybe not this year, but down the road, that one of these more software platforms could potentially have an e-billing module so that we could save a bunch of money on postage on something as simple as like the quarterly water and sewer statements or the notification of estimated taxes and all of that stuff? Or does that legally have to be sent by mail?
So statutorily, tax bills have to be mailed. They don't allow us to do e-bill option for tax bills. The water and sewer bills, there is an option, and it is in place and has been in place to do e-bill for those postcards that come quarterly. But statutorily, we have to mail tax bills. Maybe that will change in the next 10 years as they continue to upgrade. Like you said, the advertisements are now going all digital. But maybe that will change. But currently, we have to mail tax bills.
Thank you. Councilwoman McGrath?
Thank you. Can you touch on the overtime line item? So how does overtime get accrued in your department?
So anybody who works over their 35 hours is entitled to overtime, except for myself. I'm not entitled to overtime. Most of the driver for this was specifically one employee who does payroll, and the contracts had progressed last year for OPIU, which there just wasn't enough time to get the contract in place and pay the retros and everything else during normal business hours. As you can imagine, one employee doing payroll for about 100 full-time employees and the amount of, I don't know, 400 part-time employees through the summer. There doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room for slacking off, if I can say that. So any additional kind of project that is necessary to move, whether it's contracts along or the aftermath of a contract, like the OPIU contract that was settled, kind of entails a little bit more hours than the 35 provide.
So you're increasing this line item because you're anticipating more overtime this year? I mean,
I would anticipate probably similar overtime this year.
okay. Even though the contract's been worked through?
Yes. There's again, there's only one employee that does payroll. So it makes it difficult to do more tasks that are requested within the 35-hour work period.
Okay.
I mean, hopefully she doesn't have to work, because I would prefer her go home at 4:30, not just for overtime, but just for her own sake, to not have to stay late on some occasions. But if that's what it takes, that's what it will take to process the payroll and get everything done.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other questions on finance and revenue? Moving on to legal services.
Your legal services was $250,000 last year. This also included a transfer from last year. That's why it shows 267.5. We are budgeting 252.5 with anticipation of hopefully some of the legal matters that have been ongoing with affordable housing to hopefully drop off or be moved to the Affordable Housing Trust.
Any questions on legal services? Okay, moving on to municipal court.
Yes. So last year was 195,000. This year we're proposing 210. The 210 basically comes from an estimate number that comes from North Caldwell based on the number of cases and our caseload percentage that we have been driving for the past few years. So that 210 is just an estimate based on what they've provided to us.
Any questions on the court? Moving on to tab 10, planning board.
Yes. Planning board, salary and wages are on the top. There was a lot of secretary moves last year with planning board and zoning board. I'm sorry, are you good, Jen? Okay. So you will see that the salary has been finalized and has decreased in comparison to the 2025 budget. In their operating expenses, they had requested additional funds, but this was one of the items that was already cut back. based on a percentage that they have requested and the percentage we need to decrease to come within caps. So this number is, they were 21.4 last year, and they are requesting 27,250, but their original request was higher than that.
Any other
questions on?
questions?
The next page is Zoning Board of Adjustment. On the top, you will see salary and wages. On the bottom, you will see their operating expense pretty much stayed flat. Any questions on Zoning Board? Last is Rent Board in this tab. The salaries remain the same and their operating remain the same for 2026 as 2025. No questions on those. We will jump to tab 22, which is Civic Affairs. And in Ms. Kiernan, that will be towards the very end. Well, not the very end, but yes, it's under Civic. Okay, thank you. So Civic Affairs last year's was 70,000. This year they requested more than the 78,000. I think their original request was 81, which was reduced. The main drivers for this is the fireworks are increasing about $5,000 this year. And another driver, as Kevin mentioned, this would be another opportunity to include some additional funds for the 250th anniversary, whether it's spent out of Civic Affairs or A&E. Will have to be decided, but there was requests from the public information officer to include additional funds for the 250th anniversary.
Councilwoman Holland?
Yeah, regarding the fireworks, is that just an increase from the vendor that we're anticipating? Because I know that we've at times been strategic in our choice of dates to try and mitigate the expense of the fireworks. For example, I know that the cost exponentially increases if you do the fireworks display on July 4th versus like we've done it on June 30th even at times. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to that? So again, whether it's just an increase based on the date or if that's just something we're anticipating from the vendor?
That is something we're anticipating from the vendor. That's what the recreation director and the public information officer were told, that they're going to see an increase for the fireworks. I don't know if the fireworks date has been selected or if that factors in currently, but they have mentioned that the fireworks will increase, and that came from the vendor.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Just one question, Jen, as well. I know that a lot of these events, like flag raisings and things like that, require our buildings and grounds staff to be there. Is there overtime included in this, or is that in their buildings and grounds budget?
That would be in their building and grounds budget. There's no salary and wages in this budget.
Okay. So
go ahead.
Yeah, if we could disaggregate that at some point, I would really like a clear picture of what these events are costing as far as personnel as well.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions?
Lastly is tab 26. I'm not sure if you wanted to see the library budget in more detail, or in Ms. Kiernan, this has actually two tabs, just so you know, in the spreadsheet. But Claudine obviously has spoke earlier about the mandatory minimum, but this breaks down the specific lines that her board has already approved to budget for specifically. But I'm not sure if it was on the agenda, but I'm not sure if you have any questions specifically on her budget or If not, otherwise, that would conclude tonight's discussion on budget.
Any closing questions on these items? Okay, well, thank you, Ms. Mascara.
Thank you. I will see you in 2 weeks, hopefully in person and no snow.
That would be ideal because because we're going to talk about how much the snow is costing us this year already. So that's
It's
going to be a
cost us
nice
a lot of money
conversation.
so far. Yes.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Mr. O'Sullivan, we're still in your report. So what's next?
Mayor, the last item that I failed to mention in my report earlier, and this will conclude my report, was just a quick discussion on the emergency services building. I know there'd been some discussion at prior meetings. We were trying to target a presentation either this evening or at some future upcoming meeting. Again, just to provide a quick summary, as part of an ongoing effort to ensure fiscal responsibility, we continue to review that project to identify additional cost-saving opportunities while still preserving the project's core objectives. That included a number of redesigns with both solutions and also bringing in an independent audit from H2M's architectural team. Again, this wasn't a reset of our project, but rather a deliberate step to stress test that current design. And just quickly to summarize, H2M did believe that there were still meaningful efficiencies that can be realized within the existing design framework. These refinements may reduce overall square footage and may improve functional flow and site utilization. So in response to those findings from H2M, I have begun engaging in discussions with a number of specialized national firms, which would serve as a potential subject matter expert, partnered with solutions architecture to continue to further this discussion. That will be something that Ms. Mascara does not have in her budget presentation currently, but it'll be incorporated in the budget. But I just want to provide that update to both the council and to the public that the discussion on the building design is paused currently to undertake that ongoing effort to continue to try to find additional efficiencies within the building.
Thank you.
And that concludes my report. I know Mr. Kraus was looking to forego his report this evening, unless the council has any
Too bad,
questions.
Mr. Kraus. Too bad. He was very cozy looking in his chair there, so we'll let him enjoy. Mike, if you're trying to talk, we can't hear you. I don't know why. You're not muted, but we still can't hear you. Well, even if he wanted to give a report, he couldn't. So, well, maybe we'll come back to Mike later in the meeting if he has something to add there. And moving on to council member reports, Deputy Mayor McAvoy.
I remembered to unmute myself this time. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very brief, especially with the length of this meeting and the budget. I too want to congratulate the fifth grade girls. I went to 3 of their games this year. The last 2 were the playoff games, and I hope these girls stay in Verona and go through Verona High School playing basketball, because we will win a championship if they do. But they are that talented. I was very impressed by a number of girls on that team that can play. But congratulations to them for winning the championship. And that is all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilman Roman.
Just wanted to echo the earlier thanks to the Township's Department of Public Works, Office of Emergency Management, all of our emergency services, and the Township administration for dealing with this storm. This was a big one, and they did well. The roads are pretty solid and passable, and just appreciate all the hard work that goes into making sure that the town is in good condition after these sorts of events. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman McGrath.
Thank you. I too want to echo a thank you to all of the staff for their efforts in the last 24 hours plus, and with all of the storms this winter, it's been incredibly challenging. And I briefly, I did represent Verona at the county executive's Black History Month celebration, which honored our new Lieutenant Governor, Dr. Dale Caldwell, and Rutgers Newark Chancellor Tanya Smith Jackson. Both of them spoke so well about the importance of Black History Month and Black excellence, and it was really an inspiring program. You can go to the county executives page on social media and watch the full presentation. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Holland.
Thank you. I will echo statements made by my colleagues thanking the DPW. I think when we have a significant blizzard like we just experienced, it makes it incredibly important for us to have very capable DPW clearing our roads. I got specific compliments from residents about the status of Verona's roads compared to neighboring communities, as well as even some of the state and county roads. So I think that's a major compliment to our DPW. So I'm mindful of the cost associated with the incredible work that goes into clearing our roads, but I think it is a really important community service, and I know that our residents are grateful for it. I do also want to remind residents about the winter termination program, which continues until March 15th. That's not much time left, so if residents haven't available need to, that they get that information and we can provide that information as necessary. Also, alternative arrangements should be made as we transition into the spring, which seems like a far way away when you've got like 2 feet of snow on your front yard, but it is supposedly just around the corner. And so the winter termination program will be coming to an end. So I do ask that residents that do have a hardship and would otherwise qualify for that program, make sure you avail yourselves of it and that you make other arrangements for as we approach the spring and the warmer weather, which hopefully is coming very soon. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. This time I will open for public comment on any item any member of the public wishes to bring forth to the council. Madam Clerk, would you please read the public participation statement?
Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any matter, please raise your hand by pressing the raise hand button on your monitor, or if you're dialing in by Zoom, please press *9. If you are attending you're not attending in person. Once recognized, clearly state only your name, township of residence for the record. You're not required to provide your street address. However, if you do, please note that these meetings will be posted on the township's YouTube channel. Addresses will not be redacted for any purpose. You'll have 4 minutes to address the council, and there'll be no cross dialogue during this public portion. After everyone wishing to speak has been heard, the council may address your comments and/or questions.
Thank you. We have Fred. Fred, you are up.
Oops. I lost Fred.
Well, you brought Kevin Ryan in, so why don't we... Oh, now we got Fred again. Okay. Fred, you can unmute and speak. Thank you.
Goes.
Hear me now? Yep. Thanks, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. Fred Good, Verona, New Jersey. Just wanted one thing real quick. Mr. O'Sullivan, early last week, I sent you an email and a voicemail. Did you receive them? Because I hadn't heard back from you.
He can't answer until all the public comment is over, Fred.
Okay, all right. Well, just wanted to confirm that. So I'm calling again about the emergency services project. Hadn't heard anything, and I've had conversation with neighbors and some other people in town and wanted to provide some feedback. And I'll start by saying I've lived in Verona for 27 years, and in my time here, I did chair the Budget and Finance Committee under prior administration. And our goal there was to work to make sure that we're working in a manner to make sure that we're controlling costs in the town. The neighbors in my area, we do believe that a firehouse on the Pompton Avenue lot is appropriate, but we also believe that the police station on the Lakeside Avenue property is also appropriate. In the August meeting, I pointed out that the Cedar Grove North End Firehouse was built for a cost of $3.8 million. And Mr. O'Sullivan, I think you made the comment that it was a bare bones project, but even as a bare bones project, it still has to meet the necessary state fire standards. And I also did some research, and the Cape May Police Department is building a new police department for a cost of $8 million, which is an 8,000 square foot building. So let's say we took the Cedar Grove Firehouse and doubled that cost. Say we did need more to $8 million. And let's say we took the cost of the Cape May project and doubled that to 16. Well, that's a $24 million cost right there. The last proposal that you had made to us was that it was a $39 million project. So that's a $15 million saving. And I know one of the points has been the cost is less because you were combining them into one location. But I can't understand how $15 million is not a significant cost savings. And even if it was a little bit more than that number, the two locations are significant. I mean, you own the lot on Lakeside Avenue, which means you could very easily put the police station there. And the other thing that it does do is that it reduces the amount of traffic on Pompton Avenue. And when I was walking one of the guiding eyes dogs that I raised one morning a few months back at 7:15, there was an emergency going southbound on Pompton towards Bloomfield Avenue. And the traffic at the Claremont Avenue light was about 150 to 200 yards long. The Verona Police Department officer actually pulled into the oncoming traffic lane going northbound on Pompton to get through the red light at Claremont and to get to the light at Bloomfield Avenue to turn. And that's just in the morning. So adding additional traffic to that area is really going to be challenging. And the last point that I would make is also by taking the police station, and I know our police chief had made the comment at an earlier meeting that our officers are on duty in the community. But when and if there's an emergency on the west side of Verona, and we know the types of emergencies that occur in our society every day, where they need to get those support materials to them, they're going to have to come all the way across Verona, as opposed to having to go from a Lakeside Avenue lot to that emergency.
Yep. But we lost you for a second.
Or even if you went down Linden or one of the other side streets with those police resources, is going to impact your response time. And I think that's something that needs to be taken into consideration when you look at this project and the placement of the fire department on Pompton and the police department on Lakeside. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Good. And next up is Kevin Ryan. Go ahead, Kevin.
He's muted.
Just
I'm
unmute
asking
yourself,
him to
please.
unmute.
Okay.
Good evening, Council. Kevin Ryan, Verona, New Jersey. I hadn't planned on commenting on this, but I'd like to commend Mr. Good for the comments that he just made about the public safety building. I'd also like to commend Councilman Roman for his very cogent explanation of the entire budget process, which, in my opinion, has just been totally designed to confuse the taxpayers in New Jersey as to exactly how their property taxes are determined. And I've said that many times while I was on the council, so it's nothing new, but I just wanted to repeat it. And also with the recent snowstorm, and you're probably collecting this data with your senior survey, which I commend you for doing. On social media posts, I've seen a number of requests, I guess mainly from seniors, to wanting to know how they can get help, okay, to meet the requirements of the ordinance about getting their sidewalks cleared within 24 hours after the the storm ends. And I was wondering if there was any consideration to perhaps establishing a database or a central location where referrals could be made to seniors. I know there may be many legal implications regarding that, but I think it might be something that you might want to explore, where somebody could just call into a centralized number and say, I'm 65 years old, or I'm disabled, and I need help in getting my sidewalk cleared. Just something to consider. And also, I'd like to echo the comments about the great work that the Verona DPW does in getting the streets cleared very expeditiously. And thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. We have Droppy. I don't know which Droppy this is, but go ahead.
Hi, Sarah Drappy, Verona, New Jersey. I just want to thank the council members who were able to attend the fifth grade girls basketball game the other night, and thank you for your comments on that game. Those girls worked incredibly hard this entire season, and a big thank you to Coach Kieran and Coach Jen and Coach Dave for guiding those girls towards their championship. And we also look forward to watching them play in high school. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Anybody else? Okay, I close public comment. Respond, Mr. Good. I appreciate your comments. These are some of the same concerns that I have brought up. I know the deputy mayor has brought up, and that we've communicated. And I look forward to now seeing some of the comments from additional experts on this. To Mr. Ryan, I would leave the discussion of your suggestions to our community services and administration. But I appreciate you making them regardless, because there are good ideas in there. We would just have to protect people from things like that being Oprah'd. We don't want a list of people who are less mobile out there and accessible to members of the public. So we'd have to be very careful about that to try and find an exception to that and so on. And thank you, Ms. Droppy, for joining in your comments. And once again, congratulations to that team. They were a really good group. And we look forward to seeing them hopefully every year at the council. That would be very, very nice. Maybe we can get them a run every year, which would be phenomenal. Any other council comments on the public comment? All right. Hearing none, we're moving on to the three remaining ordinances for introduction. The next item on the agenda is ordinance I-1 for introduction. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Amending Chapter A 565, Fees of the Township Code, specifically Sections A 565-1, Schedule of Fees, A 565-3, Administrative Fees and Other Fees, and A 565-6, Uniform and Construction Code Fees.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody please move the ordinance? I'll move the ordinance.
So
Is there a
moved.
second? Okay, I'll let the deputy mayor have that one, and I will second that motion. Any discussion on I-1?
Mr. Mayor?
Deputy Mayor, go ahead.
I have one question on the fee, the duplicate tax bill. First duplicate copy is $5. Each subsequent is $25. Is that supposed to be reversed? Usually when you get multiple documents, the extra ones are less expensive. Is the first copy supposed to be $25 and anything after? Just a question. I'm probably not going to get an answer now, but something to look into. It just seems like it should be reversed. That's it. Thank you.
Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, man, I would just say, I don't think this ordinance is intended to change that specific fee, but I can get an answer on that question for the deputy mayor.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate you adding in the comments that we made in the last last council meeting about the credit card fees and so on, and the body camera limitations on the body camera, who would have to pay. So, okay, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo.
Yes.
I-1 will be number 2026-09. It will be published according to law. Public hearing will be held on March 9th.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. The next item on the agenda is an ordinance labeled as I-2 for introduction. Would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Amending Chapter 150 zoning of the Code of the Township, specifically Article 16, Administration and Enforcement, Section 16.1, 16.2, 16.8.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Would somebody please move the ordinance?
So moved.
Motion is made by Councilwoman McGrath. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
The second is by Councilman Roman. Is there any council discussion on this ordinance? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo.
Yes.
I-2 will be number 2026-10, and it will be referred to the planning board for a consistency review.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is ordinance I-3 on introduction. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title of this ordinance into the record?
Amending Chapter 390, property maintenance, Article 2, lead-based paint hazard inspection requirements for rental dwellings, specifically changing paragraph 5-G.
Okay. I will move this ordinance. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
No move.
The mayor made the motion and Councilman Roman seconded the motion. I just have one item of council discussion. This came out after our Fire Prevention Bureau inspectors got certified to do the lead inspections, so this should potentially save our residents and landlords money on that. So I appreciate their willingness to step up for that, and also, appreciate the revenue that'll bring into the township with that savings. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Call the roll, I'm sorry?
Yes, please.
Okay. Councilwoman Holland,
Sorry, Cynthia, we didn't hear you.
Yes.
Okay,
sorry.
thank you.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
Yes.
Mayor Tamburo.
Yes.
I-3 will be number 2026-11. It will be published according to law. Public hearing will be held on March 9th.
Okay, thank you. We're moving on to the consent agenda, in which we have one set of minutes and 10 resolutions. Does anybody need to pull anything from the consent agenda?
I'm sorry, was the minutes only in the electronic
I'm sorry.
packet? I didn't see them in my physical.
No, there are no, I didn't finish
Oh, the minutes are off. Okay. Sorry.
changing the minutes. I'm sorry.
Thank you, because I also did not receive a copy of the minutes.
I was going to give them today. I didn't get to them.
So it's L1 through L10. Anybody need to remove anything there? Okay. All right, would somebody move the consent agenda?
One quick one. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. On L4.
If you have discussion, we can do that after we move it.
Okay.
Unless we're pulling anything, we don't have to discuss now. We
Okay.
can discuss it after.
Sorry.
Somebody move L1 through L10.
So moved.
So moved.
The motion is made by Councilwoman McGrath.
Uh,
Deputy Mayor, would you like to second it?
Second.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. On L4, Deputy Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
On L4, in the
It's all last year. I'm sorry.
resolution, it says 13,000.
And it gives you 2020. Okay, it should be 15. Yes.
15.5 in the
Yes.
contract. Yes.
Correct. Sorry.
All right. So,
At this time, I'm going to open for public comment on the consent agenda. Same public comment statement applies. Okay. Seeing no public comment, any other council discussion? I close public comment. Is there any other council discussion? No? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland,
Yes. Do you not hear me? Sorry, I said yes twice. Okay.
Councilwoman McGrath,
Yes.
Councilman Roman,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy,
yes.
Mayor Tamboro.
Yes.
Mayor, L1 through L10 will be numbered 049 through and including 058. And I'll make the change to the resolution in L4.
Okay. Thank you. All right, moving on to new unfinished business. The first is the ordinance 2020, well, I'm sorry, ordinance 01A. Mr. O'Sullivan, Mr. Kraus.
Or Mayor, I'm not sure if Mr. Kraus has his audio.
Is it working now?
Yes.
So on the pest control ordinance, this is a recommendation from both construction and zoning to require baiting for things like rodents before any demolition occurs on properties. The ordinance is modeled after Bloomfield Health. They have reviewed it. They have given their comments. It's almost a carbon copy from their code. It is also recommended with the amount of construction we are expecting in town over the next several years to have this in place.
Any questions for Mr. Kraus? I think it's an ordinance that makes sense. Anybody have any objection to first reading at the next meeting?
No.
Hearing none, so be done. Moving on to B. Back to you, Mr. O'Sullivan and Mr. Kraus.
Mr. O'Sullivan, you're muted.
Apologies. So this is an ordinance that is being referred by the planning board and the zoning officer and the construction department. This is to correct an inconsistency between the Uniform Construction Code, the electric code, and the current zoning code of the township regarding the placement of where accessory equipment for pools can be located. Township zoning code is in conflict with what the electric code requires, so this would correct that.
Any questions on the text of the ordinance? Does anybody object to putting this on first reading at the next meeting? So be done. All right. Moving on, we have an appointment for the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Committee for Mr. Corey Shore for a public member expiring 1/17/2027. It's an unexpired term. Would somebody like to move that appointment?
I'll move that appointment.
Motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second?
I'll actually second it.
Second is by the Deputy Mayor.
Sure.
Any discussion on this appointment? My only
How many
discussion
openings
is
do we have there?
It's
We
Ms.
talked,
Kieran, is this
yeah,
one more?
yes,
So there's
we
with
talked
this
about that.
appointment.
This
With this
appointment
appointment,
fills, yes, and we have one remaining if this appointment goes through successful.
Okay.
all right. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Holland?
Yes. Yes.
Councilwoman McGrath?
Yes.
Councilman Roman?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McAvoy?
Yes.
Mayor Tamboro?
Yes.
The appointment of Corey Shore, public member, Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Committee, unexpired term ending 1/17/2027 passes 5-0.
And Mr. Shore, thank you for your willingness to volunteer on this committee. And I just have one item of additional new business. Just on the agenda itself, since we've added the public comment portion after the council members report and before hearing adoption of ordinances, would anybody object to changing the agenda to not have a separate public comment section on the consent agenda if we're already calling for an early public comment on anything?
I think, oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Councilman.
I like the fact that it's just specifically on the ordinances. So, and that was something that we worked in several years ago. I love the fact that we have, I actually thought you were going in a different direction. I would like to add formally to the agenda that we have the public comment, early on any matter.
No, that
But-
was formally added to the agenda.
It was? I'm sorry.
Yep. Yes. Yep. The public comment on any matter is.
Yes,
is
yes,
on
yes.
agenda.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
great. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, people may come in later in a meeting, they may not get there. So I love having that public comment on a consent agenda, and I wish other governing bodies did it the way we did. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
It certainly doesn't hurt us to have it, and just for the sake of time and calling for it. Go ahead, Councilwoman Holland.
I would just echo that I do think it's worthwhile. I think we've seen examples where residents were on and maybe didn't take the earlier opportunity, but then when we got to the consent agenda, they did specifically comment there. I don't see any harm in it. It doesn't usually result in any unnecessary or burdensome lengthening of the meeting. And so I've not found fault with it. And I think it's a good opportunity to provide for that public engagement.
I'm not tied one way or another. Okay. Any other new business? Okay, we will not be having executive session tonight, but we will have one final public comment session. Same public comment statement applies. We are open for public comment. All right, hearing none, I close public comment. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
We'll move.
Motion is made by Councilman Roman. Is there a second? Second is by Councilwoman McGrath. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Mr. Kraus? No? Okay, the motion is carried. This meeting is adjourned, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you, everybody, for your participation.
Bye.